You are listening to the scream of a giant standing lonely in the vast void. For centuries, we have called it the jewel of our system. But in the universe, beauty often walks hand in hand with brutality. Saturn is not a precious gem. It is a deadly, crushing cosmic trap. This giant machine grinds everything that dares to approach it. From Earth, it looks peaceful with its magnificent vuong mien of light and ancient frozen ice. If you stepped into that atmosphere, you would realize you are standing before the Lord of Chaos, where clouds are made of frozen ammonia and death. The storms here can swallow our entire planet in a single heartbeat. It is a place of absolute power where nature operates on a terrifying scale. Section 1 begins at the rings, the graveyard of those who trespass. And this shimmering halo is actually made of millions of sharp, jagged ice fragments. These rings are the remains of an ill-fated moon, torn apart by Saturn's tidal forces when it strayed too close to the dangerous Roche limit boundary. The rings are wide enough to span the distance to the moon, yet they are as thin as a 3-story building, only 30 meters thick. It acts like a giant circular saw, spinning at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, ready to shred any spacecraft that dares to enter. Imagine a stray meteor caught in this vortex, hit by millions of ice blades sharp as razors, reduced to nothing but space dust in seconds. Even the shadows of these rings are lethal, plunging entire regions of the planet into freezing darkness for years at a time as they orbit. In each piece of ice is a silent witness to a planetary catastrophe, a fragment of a world that existed before the rings were ever formed. Gravity carves paths through this ice, creating waves and structures that look like architecture but are actually signs of a violent and chaotic history. This is the ultimate cemetery of the solar system, a place where beauty is born from the destruction of worlds that once orbited this giant. The planet is slowly devouring its own rings, pulling tons of ice into the atmosphere every second, in a process known as the ring rain. What looks like a solid, peaceful disk is actually a chaotic swarm of millions of individual icebergs, all fighting for their place in orbit. They are the most iconic sight in our sky, but up close they are a terrifying reminder of what happens when a moon gets close. At night, the rings glow with a ghostly light, casting an eerie radiance over the clouds below, hiding the violence that happens within their layers. Now we enter Part 2, the Hexagon at the North Pole, a geometric mystery that looks like it was designed by some ancient demonic force. This is a permanent structure, a hexagonal cloud pattern that never disappears, rotating eternally above the planet's pole like a dark geometric crown. Scientists believe jet streams interact to create this shape, but it remains one of the most mysterious and unsettling features in the entire solar system. To understand the scale, each side of this hexagon is longer than the entire diameter of the Earth. It is a storm, larger than worlds. At the very center lies a hurricane shaped like a giant red rose. It is a vortex of death that has raged for centuries. The winds here howl louder than any storm on Earth, creating a deep, dark hole that reaches hundreds of kilometers down into the planet's core. It is a geometric nightmare, a reminder that the laws of physics can create shapes so perfect they seem almost impossible to occur in nature. The deep crimson color comes from chemicals pushed up from the deep interior, reacting with the sunlight to create a bloody, swirling atmospheric soup. Everything about this place is calculated and cold. It is a structural masterpiece of chaos, standing as a sentinel at the top of the world. Standing at the edge of these cloud walls, you would see gas towers rising miles high, dwarfing any mountain range found on our home planet. In Part 3, we witness the Great White Spot, a massive storm that awakens only once every 30 years to devastate the entire planet. Heat from deep within the core builds up for decades before erupting to the surface, creating a storm that wraps around the planet's entire circumference. This is the Great White Spot. It is so powerful that it changes the very appearance of Saturn, turning the golden giant into a scard. The lightning strikes here are 10,000 times more powerful than anything on Earth. They are strong enough to turn sand into liquid glass. Within these clouds, the noise would be deafening. It is an orchestra of destruction fueled by the internal heat of a dying gas giant. From a distance, it looks like a beautiful white ribbon, but up close, it is a hellish landscape of winds faster than sound itself. Each swirl in this storm is a cyclone that could destroy a continent. There is no place to hide from the fury of Saturn. When the storm finally ends, the planet settles back into its golden mask, hiding the scars until the heat builds up again in 30 years. The cycle of these storms is like the breathing of a monster. Every 30 years it exhales its internal rage in a burst of white. Now we descend to part 4. The diamond rain, a place where the sky literally falls as the most precious stone known to man. Methane gas is struck by lightning, turning it into soot. As this carbon falls deeper, the extreme pressure begins to compress it into solid crystals. The pressure is so immense that it squeezes the carbon atoms into diamonds. Millions of carats of treasure fall into the dark, crushing abyss below. And you could be the richest person in history here, but you would never survive to see it. The atmosphere would crush you into atoms. Before you could even reach out to touch a diamond, your body would be flattened into a thin layer of atoms by the gravity. At these depths, the diamonds eventually melt into a sea of liquid carbon. It is a treasure that belongs only to the giant itself. This is a place where physics reaches its limits, where the very building blocks of matter are forced into new and strange liquid forms. Leaving the core, we head to part 5, Titan, a twisted copy of Earth that hides a frozen alien world beneath its thick orange haze. Titan has clouds, rain, and rivers just like Earth. But don't let the familiar landscape fool you. This is a world made of ice. The water here is not water. It is liquid methane and ethane, are chilled to nearly 200 degrees below zero in the freezing lunar night. If you jumped into a lake on Titan, you wouldn't drown. Your body would instantly freeze solid and shatter like glass upon the cold impact. The air is thick enough that you could fly by flapping your arms, but one breath of this nitrogen atmosphere would be your very last. It is a mirror of Earth, but reflected in a nightmare. A world where the rocks are made of ice and the rain is fuel. Yet despite the cold, scientists believe Titan could host life that is completely different from anything we know, a life based on methane chemistry. Further away lies part 6, Enceladus, a small, brilliant moon that hides the solar system's greatest secret beneath its cracked, icy white shell. Giant plumes of water spray hundreds of miles into space. Saturn's gravity kneads the moon's core, keeping the water underneath warm and liquid. This is the best place to find life. Somewhere in the permanent darkness below the ice, something could be swimming in the deep, warm water. In the total darkness of this subsurface ocean, life could thrive near hydrothermal vents, completely independent from the light of the distant sun. These geysers actually create one of Saturn's outer rings, feeding the giant with the water from its own tiny, loyal moon's hidden heart. It is a beautiful cycle of cosmic plumbing, a small moon giving its lifeblood to sustain the beauty of its master's magnificent golden rings. But here is the bitter truth. Saturn is slowly dying, or at least its most famous feature is. The rings are a temporary cosmic miracle. Saturn is eating its own rings. Gravity and magnetism pull tons of ice into the planet every second in a process called ring rain. In 100 million years, the rings will be gone. Saturn will be naked and lonely, just another gas giant in the silent, dark void. We are lucky to exist in this brief moment of history when Saturn wears its crown. It is a fleeting beauty in the vast timeline. We sent a messenger to witness this. For 13 years, the Cassini spacecraft was our eyes and ears, orbiting this terrifying and beautiful world. Cassini taught us everything we know. It revealed the storms, the lakes of Titan, and the hidden oceans of Enceladus with incredible, groundbreaking detail. In 2017, the mission reached its end. Instead of letting it drift, scientists ordered a final death dive into the atmosphere to protect the moons. Cassini sent back data until the very last second. It fought the thickening air, struggling to keep its antenna pointed toward a distant, tiny Earth. It was crushed and melted, becoming a permanent part of the planet it spent its life observing. Our messenger became one with the giant. Cassini's sacrifice ensures that the moons remain pure, untouched by Earth's bacteria, so that we may one day find life in their hidden oceans. Saturn teaches us a powerful lesson. Beauty is temporary, but the harsh laws of physics are eternal and indifferent to our very existence. When you look at that golden dot in the night sky, remember the chaos and the death that hide behind its gentle, shimmering light. Behind that beauty is a monster that breathes, a king that crushes, and a giant that does not care if we exist or not. Enjoy the view while it lasts. The universe is a vast and dangerous place, and Saturn is its most beautiful and most terrifying warning. If you feel small before the vastness of the universe, hit subscribe. Join us as we explore more terrifying truths of our deep cosmos. Leave a comment with the word Cassini if you stayed until the end to honor our last messenger to the great Lord of the Rings. The winds never stop. The storms never sleep. Saturn remains a testament to the violent and beautiful nature of the world we live in. Every grain of ice tells a story of destruction. Every cloud carries the weight of a world much larger and more powerful than our own. It is a guardian of the outer reaches, a golden sentinel that reminds us of the scale of the heavens and our place within them. Even the air is a weapon here. Ammonia ice needles would shred your lungs before the pressure even had a chance to crush your bones. The sun is a distant memory here, a cold, bright spark that cannot warm the frozen heart of this massive, lonely, and beautiful planetary king. In the heart of the giant, even the hardest diamonds melt. Nothing survives the absolute power of Saturn's internal, crushing, and heated gravitational embrace. Gravity is the true ruler here. It shapes the rings, moves the moons, and eventually, it will bring an end to everything we see today. The balance is delicate. One step too close and you are part of the rings. One step too far and you are lost in the void. Thank you for journeying to the edge of destruction with us. The universe is waiting, and there are many more secrets yet to be found. Sleep well, knowing that out there, the golden giant is watching the stars, wearing a crown of ice and reigning over the deep silence.